Welcome to SoCal Sports 107th podcast. I am your host, John Stellman, with Vince Morales, Corey Wojo, John Adams with us tonight. And we've got a load of stuff to talk about, so let's talk about the subject matter. We're going to go with the Tiger Woods story first. John's our golf guru, and he's got some insight on that. We'll deal with the Dodgers and Angels in spring baseball, the Clippers and the Lakers basketball. We'll talk about the Chargers, Rams, nobody signing any franchise players yet, and Kings, Ducks. Kings are on a roll, and we'll get into the Pac-10 basketball race. So let's get right into it. Let's go right to Tiger Woods, and John is our golf guru. We want to congratulate him on his new website on Sosa Nostra. Any of you golf guys, they're really into it. I suggest that you check that out. I've watched it a couple of times. Very interesting, especially for the golf experts. So, John, what's the latest on Tiger?
Well, it's a sad situation, and it's hard to get too into it when it comes to, kind of seeing what direction he's going to go, because I don't want to, go ahead and say, hey, look, I don't think we're ever going to see him play golf again, because he's the first one to prove you wrong, right? I do know that it's pretty bad what's happened to him. There's a lot of multiple bone breaks. There's been, they in the past they used to call it compound fractures. Now they call it open wounds and closed wounds. So a lot of open wounds. His right ankle is pretty shattered. It's not good at all. But on one point, you're going to have a guy that's probably going to get the best doctors ever. He's going to get the best rehab people ever, and he's probably going to get the best A-plus care that anybody's ever going to get in his situation. So that's all a positive. Another positive is he's alive and a father of 2 kids, and he's still a son of a mother. So there are some positives to this, but when it comes to looking at Tiger Woods down the road and into his golf game, it's up in the air, and I hope he proves us all wrong, but I have a feeling that what we've seen is the last of him. That's just my, that's what I think.
You don't think he'll ever play again?
I just don't know if somebody that has gone through what he's gone with. You always got to understand, there's 5 back surgeries that have happened here. And he wasn't even fully healed from his last back surgery when he went off the road and threw the car in a bunch of circles. So, that's all related. Those back surgeries are all related to what has gone below his waist. And so I just got a gut feeling to play at the high standard that these guys try to play at and try to use that right leg for a lot of power to be able to load the amount of weight that you need to load on that. I don't look, if I'm in Vegas, I'm a betting man. I just don't see it happening. But again, I hope he proves me wrong, to be honest with you. I hope it's a great story. I hope it's phenomenal. I hope he comes back just like Ben Hogan and wins a couple of tournaments. But I just don't know if that's going to happen.
Do we have any knowledge of why this happened? What was Tiger in a hurry? I mean,
well, again, everybody, you can sit there and talk about all these different kinds of things. You saw him rushing out of the hotel and going out. Now, my nephew played at Penn High School, which is at the very top of that hill, and I've gone down that hill. And again, I'm not speculating anything, right? Because, there's some people that say he was, still on pain meds. There was no blood test taken. And by the way, I don't think we're ever going to see those results anyways, right? I just think that stuff's going to be hidden. But what I do, again, if I'm a guessing man, he's in a hurry and he's trying to get to Rolling Hills Golf Course Country Club. And I'm just wondering if there was a look onto the phone for directions, because once he hit the Rolling Hills Estate sign and took that out, he clipped a tree and then went right into, it was out of his hands from that point on. So I don't want to speculate, but something happened. His eyes were not on that road, and that can get a little quick going down that hill.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's been a subpoena for that black box of the
Yeah.
SUV.
Right.
And I saw that there was a forensic traffic expert who was saying that this feels like somebody who took his eyes off the road or fell asleep at the wheel is what it indicates. And he was, very, he was very anti what the sheriff said originally. He said, look, how can you say this is just an accident, right? That he goes, there was some level of negligence, even if it's just taking your eyes off the road to look at the phone for a second, right? There's a little bit of negligence, but he seemed to think that something like this looks like someone who took their eyes off the road, fell asleep at the wheel. They'll know more when they get the black box of how much pressure was put on the brakes. Anti-lock brakes don't leave as much skid marks. There were no skid marks. It didn't seem like they'll see if he tried to correct or if he just went off the road, hit the curb and went off the road.
And that's a great point. And that's why I was going to ask you guys, what's kind of in a black box in an airplane. I didn't even know there were black boxes in cars. Like that was new to me. So I don't know what kind of information they can gather out of the black box. Because it is a car that was given to him for him to drive for a couple days. So his phone is not connected to the car.
Yeah, sure was.
So,
Yeah, the phone was paired up.
It was paired up.
People that I've talked to said, and that's sort of the industry that I'm in. So on the CAN bus of the vehicle, you can get the speed, you can get the yaw and the roll, you can get all the different off of the chassis of the vehicle. You can see exactly what the speed and the angle and all that stuff. They can put it together just from the black box.
Yeah, the
Every
expert
vehicle
said
has them now. So
yeah, the expert said that if he was going any faster, he'd be dead.
Yeah.
There was definitely 45-ish, 40, 45-ish, because if he had been going faster and speeding, he'd be dead. And, tragically. But, so that's why there are some indications that there was just eyes off the road, phone, or nodding off. But yeah, distracted. Exactly.
Yep. And
then you're wondering why the guy doesn't have his own driver, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
John,
45 years old. I'm sorry, John. 45 years old, right? Like you said, John, just about 3 to 4 weeks out from his last back surgery. They start putting a lot of metal in your femur, your ankles. When they do that, you maybe lose a half inch on one side. You're out of whack for a long time. I don't see a 46, 47-year-old guy, even the athlete, the caliber of Tiger Woods, recovering and coming back to play golf at a competitive level. I just don't.
Yeah.
he might be at San Clemente Muni, but I don't think he's going to be, putting
He's still going to have to give me. He'll still have to give me shots. Yeah, that's for sure.
John, what do you think this means for the game of golf? I mean, Tiger has been the guy that really turned golf around. I didn't watch golf, I'll be honest with you, till Tiger came on board. And boy, I tell you, that started my interest, and I've been watching it ever since. He means a lot to the sport. Whether you like him or hate him, I mean, he's got a tremendous following. Ratings are up when he's in a tournament. What does this do nationally for the game itself?
Well, I think one of the big things that I think what he needs to let's just I guess we're assuming that he's not going to participate again and play at a high level. One of the things that is he has opened up his doors to these younger kids that are the Justin Thomases and the Ricky Fowlers and these younger kids that have just idolized him, and he's really kind of opened up his book and allowed them to come in, and he does that through being a President's Cup captain and assistant captains for Ryder Cups. And I think he's been really and he's really now turning into being a really good father with Charlie and watching him grow in the game. So I think kind of that ambassador role needs, I think, to get a little bit better and keep his name in the game, but be able to kind of hand the torches off. And that'll be a hard thing for him to do, but hand those torches off to that younger generation and kind of show them, hey, this is the path that you need to go down. And so I think, he'll probably get into more design, doing more design stuff. But I think trying to keep his name in the game and trying to give back. You know, he does a big thing with the Tiger Woods Foundation. He'll probably still be very involved in something like that. But
what about,
again, go ahead.
What about put him in the booth? What about,
It's not him. Mickelson will go in the booth before he will. He'll do a special deal, like, you know, at a golf tournament like he did in LA, those kind of things. But he's not a guy to do commentating where Mickelson will eat it up. He'll love it. Right. So that's just not him.
I know when I first heard about the wreck, my heart sank. And on the heels of, the HBO documentary, coming out, that, there's a lot of people thinking, because it brought a lot of that back to the forefront, right? Maybe some stuff that was in the back of our minds about, sort of the scandals and the arrests and what was happening with them. You start to think about that. And I think a lot of journalists and a lot of people have come out to defend and say, no, this isn't what that's about. And it's like, I don't know that we can say that yet with any degree of accuracy. And for me, the thing that I fear is like, you know what, Tiger, this is the wake-up call. Concentrate on Charlie and your daughter. And, that's where the next step should be. Get healthy, get better, hang out with your kids, and maybe Charlie's the next, Woods that on the pro tour.
Yeah, it kind of comes after that whole Tiger Woods documentary too, where it threw his dad under the bus pretty strong, and then threw some, negatives. It wasn't a very pretty picture for Tiger, to be honest with you.
No.
And then he goes and gets his other back surgery, and now people just start throwing him under the bus that he's high again, and he's doing all this kind of stuff, and then he almost kills himself. And so hopefully that all that speculation just washes away, and we just get him back on his feet, because I seriously think about what you've read, right? And what he's going through is, I think it's a situation where this is a guy that's going to be bedridden, then he's going to be in a wheelchair, and then he's going to have to learn how to walk again. I mean, I think that's how bad it is. But again, he's the first guy to say, yeah, I'm going to go out and win a golf tournament. You watch 2-3 years down the road, you watch. So he'll give it a shot. I know he'll give it a shot, but he won't give it a shot unless he's not performing. Right.
That's what
when he's practicing and stuff like that.
So. Yeah, but how long before he's able to even start taking practice swings? To me, that feels like 2 years.
Months.
Oh, well, I mean, you got to be able to, you got to go through the whole rehab thing, right? So, I mean, I don't think he's looking at doing I don't know. I'm guessing maybe 7-8 months down the road is when he's learning how to walk, I would guess. Or, these bones, they got to heal, and he doesn't do anything, half-assed, to be honest with you. He's full tilt. So,
yeah.
But
if he doesn't play anymore, you're going to have the same, people are going to say, well, what could he have done if he hadn't had the accident? Where could he have gone? Could he won another major? Where would his career taken him? Just like they said when he had the problem previously and, was sidetracked there for a long time. He was well on the road to perhaps beating Jack's record for majors. And of course, he had several, I don't know how many years he had between majors when he had his problems with his wife and family matters and that scandal. But people are going to, wonder now, where could he have been if that had not happened?
Yeah, I mean, and it's a situation where I don't know if he would have not shut it down, or maybe it all based on how his play was going after he would have came out of this rehab. But, he was tied with Snead for 82 wins, right? I think if he gets that 83rd win, maybe he kind of sees that maybe I can't beat Jack's major record. I don't know, but that most wins ever is a big thing there. I don't know if that's one thing that he was really trying to keep playing for, but knowing that he won the Masters, and here he was. I mean, I thought it was kind of late to do this surgery going in the Masters. It's here in a month, right? I'm surprised he didn't get that prior, like maybe Christmas time or maybe November or something like that. But he, because that's a golf tournament. You look at all the majors, that's the one that fits his game the best. I mean, it's like him playing on, his local golf course, right? Where opens are really hard to win. I mean, you really got to hit it good. You really got to chip and putt it well. Maybe a PGA if the golf course suited his style. would be somewhere he could win. You know, the Open, geez, I don't even know when we're ever going to go over to the Open again. Who knows? But the Masters is actually the one that really is a golf venue that he plays really well at. So I'm surprised that he's just doing the surgery stuff now. That was a little shocking to me that he was kind of rushing into that preparation wise to get into that Masters. So
unless he thought maybe, hey, I'm on the fence of whether I can play through this and still play at a competitive level, and then just got so bad that he's like, screw it, I've got to do it.
Or it just flared up. That's another thing. Like he wasn't feeling it and just flared up, right? And then all of a sudden, like, wow, this is uncomfortable. I got to get this fixed, and so he did. But I mean, 5 surgeries on a back, guys. That's
yeah. You know, like Alex Smith, right?
Right.
Blew up his leg. That was 2 years and about 15 to 20 surgeries, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had some complications with sepsis and things like that, but that was 2 years. I mean, obviously Tiger is not playing a contact sport and a violent sport, but to hit it 300 yards, it takes some torque and strength, and I don't know.
A lot of stamina, right? If you're going to play 4 rounds, it takes a lot of stamina to be able to do
that. There you go. That's a perfect. Now you're asking a guy to walk 7 to 10 miles a day, right? For at least 5 days, right?
I know you do it, John, but it's tough if you got
constantly. Oh yeah, and uphill in the snow both ways. I mean,
And what kind of cardio can the guy do with these kind of catastrophic injuries?
So Vince, great question. But remember when I had the screw put in my foot, right? What they do is they pump air into this machine that lifts you up, right? So it's like you're walking on a cloud. So what they do is you just get the motions going, and then after every rehab, they lower more air out and more air out and more air out. But or it's going to be a lot of pool work, right? So that's how it's going to
full tread.
He's got to take the weight bearing off of his body, but I agree with you, Vince. It's going to be a lot of surgeries, and the big thing there is I think the number one thing that these surgeons are worried about is infection. I think that's the biggest thing right here is just infection,
Right. And they had to cut open his calf, right? Just to get that swelling out, right? So that's likely still an open wound as we speak.
Yeah, you got swelling muscles, you got arteries that are really close, you got nerve issues. Like I said, it's a big puzzle these guys are having to put together. And I hope he proves us wrong, but I'd be very surprised.
How about the Champions Tour? Would he come back on that?
No, I don't think he was ever going to play on that, even if he was healthy, to be honest with you. It's just not him. I thought what was funny is what was great is they all wore red and black on Sunday, right? I don't know if you guys saw that. And I thought it was really cool. And the great story was Mickelson, right? So Mickelson, he goes out and he says, I have to do this for Tiger, right? So he doesn't own a red shirt. He has to go buy a red shirt. And the shirt that he has to buy is a U of A shirt. That's because he's in Tucson. So he has to wear a sweater the whole entire round because he goes, I can't have a picture taken with the logo that's on the other side of the sweater. There's just no chance of that happening. So, that was kind of funny, but I thought it was really cool. And it wouldn't surprise me if this is something that just continues down the road for them to do on a Sunday basis. So
sort of like the Earnhardt.
And I thought Morikawa was just awesome in his win last week, where he more or less looked at the camera and said, I idolize this guy. This guy is who I looked up to and who I wanted to put my game after, right? And he just says, I don't think we say enough thank yous, and looked right in the camera and said, thank you very much for what you've done. Because you know what, John? These guys are playing for the most money they've ever played for, and it's all because of Tiger. They should all kiss that guy's feet, right?
Yeah. And I think the thank you, I think part of the, the reason why more people aren't thanking, it's because that's sort of the slap on the back and the gold watch sort of mentality, right? When somebody's done, right? Then the thank yous come. Right. So, and I think Tiger would be the first one, like, don't thank me yet. I'm still going back to kick your ass. Yeah. So I think to me that resonates more with me now, because it feels like, this feels like the bell has been rung for the career of Tiger Woods. But we said that before, like you said, John. We said that before, and we've been wrong.
This is a giant hurdle to overcome, though.
Yeah.
This is not.
Yeah, but see, Corey, I think it's hurdles. I don't think it's a hurdle. I think it's
from what I heard.
I think you're right, Vinny. I think if we see him tee it before 2024, I would be surprised. I really think there's going to be so much rehab, and I think there's going to be so many surgeries that are going to have to take place here for him to be somewhat back to normal.
Right.
So sad, though. Sad. So
Okay, anything else anybody has on the Tiger?
Well, it's sort of a side note, John. And I might be way out of bounds on this one, but if I'm like Tom Brady right now and I'm, Mike Trout, I'm wrapping myself in bubble wrap because the top guys in all the different sports are finding some bad luck. Then we got Kobe that dies in the helicopter, and
almost
then we got
almost a year to the day.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
It just tells you that you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? I mean, enjoy today. Let's take everything for what it's worth and go on, but don't you never promise tomorrow. And Tiger Woods is one glance from his phone from another flip. The good thing is that Genesis SUV, man, that's a great commercial for them, right? Guy flips 4 times and he has leg fractures, but he's still going to live. So
Right. Yeah. All right. Before we, if anybody has anything else, before we leave this, John, I want you to plug your extra holes.
Yeah, it's on Social Nostra. It's called Extra Holes. It's about 30 minutes long. It's a podcast with two guys that more or less, it's like two guys sitting at the bar or at a table at the 19th hole after you get done playing. And we're just talking shop. We just, we cover all the tours that are going on that week. Any stories, backstage stories that are going on. Along with maybe a story that one of us have heard in the game, and that's about it. Just small little talking shop about golf, and kind of we give a trunk slammer award, which is somebody who maybe bogeys the last 3 holes to miss the cut by 1 or something like that. So we do that. Although this last week there was no cut, so we gave the trunk slammer award to Matthew Wolf, who shot 83 the first round and then just went home and got $30,000 for doing it.
Goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking all over the place. Did he hurt his hand? Did he hurt a leg? Nope. He just said, I didn't like my round. Thanks for the 30 grand and I'm out of here. And I just thought that was bad form by a young kid. And, those managers and stuff should be around him saying, you need to go fight this out, not go back to your home driving range and see your teacher. So I thought it was a little immature, but that was my trunk slammer award last week.
Well, it's a good show. Like I said before, I've watched a couple episodes, and for the golf guy, I mean, I can see where he would really get into it, really enjoy the little tidbits and side information, things that you don't know that John knows. And I would strongly suggest anybody that's a golf junkie would check in. Is there any regular time that you come on, or how do we find out when you're on the air?
It's usually later in the week, because what we do is we produce it. So we'll add photos to it. I added this new interview. I'm going to interview people along the way. So we do it on Monday, Tuesday. We usually launch it around Friday. So of the week. So
are you going to stick around with us?
Go to Social Nostra and it will be on there, and you can find it on there. So
you're going to stick around with us now? Or are you going to?
Let's talk Angels baseball right now.
We're going to.
Shohei yard off of a Dana Hills Dolphin today.
I'll let Vinny kick it off with the Dodgers.
Let's talk Angels. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah. Did you 468-foot home run today?
They're hitting peanuts out, and cocktails were free on that flight. It
went over the 30-foot cameras. Whatever they call it in center field. Ohtani.
It was like the 10 freeway. They were going, wow, what's going on? They got a baseball going across it. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if that guy is healthy and can give us anything that he similar to his Rookie of the Year season, it's going to be a great help to the Angels. He's hitting the ball well so far. I know it's early, but I think he was 2 for 2 in his first game. I think he was 2 for 3 today. I'm very interested in Friday. Friday's going to take them on for the first time. Very interested to see what develops on the mound. That is the real
John, I think that I'm not worried about the offense. I think
Oh.
the team's got a ton of offense. I'm worried about him pitching every Sunday. That's what I'm worried about. Because if he does pitch it Sundays, I think we have enough, to hang in there, right? Do I have enough to go ahead and compete against the Dodgers and that staff? No, but I think we can be competitive if he can throw and stay healthy on the mound. Last time he did, he had one good outing, and then all of a sudden he started hitting the ball and the guy in the on-deck circle, and then he was done. But he's throwing at 100 miles an hour. But if he can throw and give us good quality innings on Sundays, I don't care about his bat, to be honest with you. I think he's going to hit. He'll throw in his numbers. He'll hit his bombs. He'll steal his bases or whatever. But I'm more interested in that arm. If that arm can stay healthy and give us that Sunday start, I feel comfortable about what we can do and be competitive.
So far, so good. And I like the way that Joe Madden's approaching it. No restrictions. Just, you tell us what you feel like doing, what you want to do, and go and do it. I mean, we're not going to tell you to do this or do that, or, and he had a heck of a rigorous a training session in the winter. He really got himself in shape. He came to camp in good shape. First time he's been injury free. So, gosh, he's off to a great start and looks healthy and ready to contribute. But like you say, only time will tell.
Corey, what do you think? You're a Halo fan. Hey, it's 3-1 over here, but I mean, the one that's over here is locked and loaded with a bunch of players. But I mean,
Yeah. I think you're right. I think his the most value for Ohtani is on the mound, right? And Joe said that in the bullpen the other day he threw 101.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the first bullpen session he was barely breaking 90, but he's not a dumb kid, right? He's building it up. He's letting it loose. He said it's the best his arms ever felt. I mean, everything's fixed, right? His shoulder, his elbow, his fingers, his wrists, everything's done. So there's nothing else that, knock on wood, that he can, break. So I think he's huge if he's on the mound. If we get 30 starts out of Ohtani, we are in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think we can contend, especially in the West, because the Astros are down, right? The A's are down. The A's are always sleepers, right? I don't think the Mariners, we have to worry too much about the Mariners, but Texas is Texas. I think we can contend, and possibly get a playoff spot. But I mean, yes, it's no rotation like, the guys in Chavez Ravine. But I mean, again, if you're right, I'll take 25 starts out of them, you know what I mean?
It'd be a career high.
Yeah. I think Corey made a good point last week too. They're going to have to beat up on the Texases and the Seattles of the world. They play them 19 times. Like Corey said, you got to go 16-3. You can't be going 10-9 against Texas.
You got to go 32-6 against those guys, and you get 1/3 of your wins against two teams.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I think Ohtani Friday's going to be really interesting to watch. But
I can't wait.
With him, because he's a little bit, like any baseball player, a little bit mental. But that offense is really going to help his pitching as well.
Right. No doubt.
Right? If you're batting 095 and you get on the mound, you're still batting 095 in your head the entire game, right?
Yeah.
So I think it helps out that he's starting off on a good note. He's healthy. He's hitting bombs. And
if we can contend and get some playoffs, then all of a sudden, there goes Pujols, and there goes Upton, right? And then we got some money to spend the next year too.
Right.
So,
Speaking of Pujols, did you see that the rumor has it that he's not 41, that he's actually 74? which is funny. But when he first signed, we used to joke about it, John. I think you and I talked about it over a beer once or twice, that there was no way he was a Dominican 41, right? I mean,
wasn't that guy in the World Series, Danny something?
Yeah.
He was like 18 and he said he was 12, throwing 90. Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, we've talked about this before, that Pujols was, it's about 40-ish, right?
I would say that he's 45 at least.
Well, he runs like he's 74.
Right.
So that's,
That's true.
Yeah. Just cut him in half and count his rings.
Yeah. That's what they ought to do. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it if they do have a good team, right? And they are in contention, and he's become an anchor. right? What do? You have him pinch hit off the bench. You got a great right-handed stick off the bench. He's not going to be able to play first all that much. And you don't want Ohtani not to have his stick in lineup and clog up the bases with Pujols.
What's funny is his wife goes and throws up all over Twitter. And then all of a sudden he comes like, oh, that was blown out of proportion. I'm not making that decision. I'm like, guess what? We're making the decision for you. Yeah. This is your last year. Okay.
It's your last year in a uniform on the field, unless you're
you are a player to be named later in 22. Okay, just to let you know. So,
speaking of the pitching, Bundy had a nice game today. Pitched 2 innings, one walk, no runs, no hits. Boy, if we can get if he can continue to perform like he did last year, pick up where he left off, he was pretty impressive. And like I say, he pitched very well.
And he's an inning eater too. He just eats up innings. It's great.
He's
I'm really curious. I really like to see how our relief, like our 8-9 guy, the guy that's going to come in the 8th and the 9th inning, that's going to be really big for us. I know we went out and found somebody.
Iglesias.
Iglesias, yeah.
Yeah. I'm to be honest with you, when we get over to the LA deal, I don't know what are they going to do there, because I kind of like the lefty coming out of the pen like he did in the World Series and, the big giant from the Netherlands. So
for the Angels, I'm really intrigued.
As we segue into the Dodgers, right? Is that what we're doing? Sorry.
Well, I wanted to say that Chris Rodriguez intrigues me for the Angels, right? Yeah. What an arm, right? So for me, that's the guy that I think is sort of that where things hinge on for the Angels, of whether or not they can get over the hump on the pitching, and get some more innings out of a good live arm,
Yeah, don't forget that Madden loves the young kids, right? Remember in 2002, Frankie Rodriguez comes in, he's like, 20-something. You got Lackey, who's a rookie, and he's starting Game 7. So, I mean, you can look at Reed Detmers. You looked pretty good last night. I mean, he was a little nervous right off the bat, but, good guy to have. And then Rodriguez,
Yeah, I mean, look, if his arm is there, I don't know if they're gonna play it safe with him, and if his arm's right, throw him, right? Get him some innings, see what happens, and I think that for Joe Adele, right? I think last year that was a great way to just sort of get him in, right? It was sort of the truncated season. Let's just see what he can do. He's got that out of his way, and now let's see what he's got. Let's see what he's made of.
It's a big year for him. I think it's a big year for him, to be honest with you.
I don't think we see Adele until June.
Really?
Well, I think he starts the season in the minors.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think
not if he has a good spring. Not if he has a good spring, I don't think so.
He does not have a good spring, John. His at-bats look really...
it's only his third game. So
he's played in every game. Yeah, 3 games. Four.
He still has some defensive problems.
Well, yeah, he has a problem having the ball go in and out of his glove over the wall, right?
Well, so did Canseco, but he made a good living in the majors.
Yeah.
I still think the key to the Angels probably is health, like probably with every team. If they can, they've had their share of injuries, and if they can stay healthy, especially that pitching staff, I could see them with a playoff spot. They might even be close in the division race with Ucla.
That's what we say every year with the Chargers. It's just health. If they can stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. The doctor doesn't puncture his lung. But I think with the Angels, the key, I mean, obviously pitching, health, all that stuff, you got to get off to a good start. You can't go 2-10 and be facing it the entire time, right? It's exhausting to be all of a sudden 8 games under and watching Astros and the A's go off on a good run. They're 15-3 all of a sudden, and you're 9 games out by the end of the first month.
I remember last year that's what Madden with the short season, Madden preached quick start. What'd they do? They were 9-2-9 or 2-11.
Yeah.
All right, Vinny, jump into the Dodger. What's this?
Your World Series champion Dodgers. Yeah. All right.
Is there anything going on with Corey Seager? I heard some stuff coming in tonight Is he going to resign or trade or?
Yeah, well, I don't know that there's going to be a re-signing. Obviously, the Mookie signing and the Tatis signing, and those numbers are really big. Corey Seager was fabulous in the postseason, and but I think teams get into trouble signing players off of their postseasons, right? But Seager is the real deal. He was healthy, at the end of the season. He was lights out in the postseason. I think for the Dodgers, it's slow play it, right? They don't need to do anything until later in the summer with Corey Seager. I've said this before and I've been wrong. I didn't think it was going to happen with Mookie, but when they signed that long contract with Mookie, I was shocked. I was shocked, excited, and shocked. It could happen with Corey. I don't think it will. I've been wrong before on these things, but I just don't see it. The Dodgers have that really high payroll. They're going to be in the competitive balance tax. They're way over it right now. There's a couple of things that they can still do. Some contracts there, and they've got an abundance of arms, and Price is expendable, and that's a big contract. But who will take it?
Yeah, who will take it? I was just going to say, David's got to be the one that's on the board right now, and I'm just like, I'm wondering, is Boston that is he wouldn't go back to Boston, right?
But who's gonna
that
contract is gonna get more and more tasty to teams if they can get so close to the playoffs, right? All of a sudden, those numbers don't matter as long as you can get a guy in there that can get you 9 wins between the end of July through the end of the season.
Somebody like Houston and Philly, those guys.
Houston,
and just like the Dodgers, took the contract to get Mookie. If they package Price with one of their prospects, who they can afford, I mean they've got a lot of guys who other teams covet. The one that comes to mind is Keibert Ruiz, a catcher who I wish we would keep, but. They can dangle him, and if you package a Keibert Ruiz and a David Price, somebody's paying the money for David Price.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but watching the pitching staff, I mean, watching Bauer pitch, I mean that arm and I knew like sort of the analytics coming in, and his spin rate on all of his pitches, like fantastic, right? Terrific, but to actually see it. On TV in Dodger blue, and just his first spring outing, it's like, oh my God. And then Buehler was lights out too. I mean, he just threw a nasty curveball and was just terrific in his debut against the Giants last night. So,
Corey, did you see Bauer in high school at all? Did you ever see him?
We played against him, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So again, on a little bit of a side note, did you guys watch it on the Dodgers sports, whatever? The announcers for the Dodgers were horrible last night on whatever the Dodgers sports net I mean, it was heinous. I had to turn it down and just watch without.
I don't know who it was. I don't know.
I think it was like Ned Coletti. I think Ned Coletti was one of the. He was doing.
Wasn't Charlie Steiner?
No, it wasn't Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday. Save the flag, Rick Monday. But it was two guys that I couldn't stand listening to him. It was horrible. So.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. I think it was Ned Coletti doing the color.
Whew. Ned Coletti, he was 4 bottles in because it was tough to understand what he was saying. And he was going all the way back to his first days with the Cubs and the early 60s or whatever. I mean, it was.
Yeah, Ned's the kind of guy you like to interview, but for a full game of color, tells great stories. But I don't know if you want Ned as your color guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got to see a little bit of. Our buddy Alex Vesia last night. He went in and unfortunately gave up a run, but that was like I said, my son's old college roommate.
Oh, nice.
And sort of a tough start for him. He gets a ground ball right to third base, but they have the shift on.
Yeah.
Left fielder lets the ball go by him, through the legs and turns it into a double and all that good stuff. So
yeah, you said something, Corey, about how, the Dodgers, somebody's going to show up for the Dodgers, some kid, stick. DJ Peters hit one into the wind that was
Yes.
just an absolute bomb.
That was a piss missile, man. That thing was
man.
gone.
So-
Yellow.
So the ball, I mean, they're using still the old balls from last year.
I hope so.
Trying to get rid of them.
One of the analysts on the Angels was talking about how the only people that'll know which balls are in play right now are the clubhouse guys.
Oh.
So they were talking about, hey, if I'm a starting pitcher, I'm going to slip that clubhouse guy an extra $100 to make sure that the limited flight balls are in play that day, right?
Yeah. Here, rub up a bunch of marshmallows for me.
Right. Yeah. Give me
Yeah, exactly.
get the soggy newspapers out there for us. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting. The Dodgers, and I am obviously not a Dodger fan, right? But they are going to be fun to watch, top to bottom. I want to watch them hit. I want to watch them.
I'm a Padre fan now.
I know.
Let's go Pods.
finally, we've got a really good. It's going to be a grudge match between those two.
Yeah.
It is.
It's going to be a +2. Whoever wins 2 more games than the other one head to head is going to win that division. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's absolutely going to be exciting. The Dodgers need to beat up on the teams that they need to beat up on so that they have a little margin for error when they play a team who's hunting for them like the Padres are. And clearly, people look. The Padres just need to prove it, right? They need to get arms healthy, and they need to continue to hit. And they can't have sort of this Cronenworth and Grisham,
have the sophomore
backslide, right? They can't slump. They need to get all of those things. And then, I look at guys like Will Myers, right, who looked like crap for years, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't have to be the guy with big broad shoulders anymore.
Yeah.
So he seemed relaxed. But do I think that's sustainable? Absolutely not. I'm not a Will Myers fan. And Hosmer, a little bit older. So there, look, does it look good on paper? And does it scare me a little bit? Sure. But if you tell me Hosmer, who hits Kershaw really well, Hosmer and Myers and Cronenworth and Grisham, I'm like, okay, I'll take. That's fine.
Vinny,
that's what you're banking on. Okay.
The most dangerous thing in all of sports is confidence, right?
Absolutely.
If those guys get off to a good start, watch out. It's going to be the greatest show on earth, right? Watching these two teams battle it out 19 times is going to be amazing.
It is. And I think Fernando Tatis is fun to watch. I think he's great for the game of baseball, but just, dampen those a little bit. Have we seen a full season out of Fernando Tatis? No. Has he been hurt a little bit? Yeah. Let's wait. With Aaron, you want to crown him, right?
Yeah, you have to support his back because he's going to have a lot of weight of money in his back right pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Tatis hit a slam, right, last night, and he looks great. And personally, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
But a lot of things can go wrong with Yu Darvish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Manny Machado. It doesn't take much. A little adversity, and Machado is Machado, right?
Snell helps that lineup though.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. He absolutely does. Yeah. But Clevenger's still hurt, right?
Clevenger's out for a year, but
yeah,
he'll be back next year. But I would take the whole Padre staff and put him in an Angel uniform and be happy as hell.
Oh my God.
Right.
They'd be scoring. And that's that's the thing. Those games are going to be exciting because the Padres, like the Dodgers, are going to be able to outslug you and also win a 3-1 game.
Yeah. The Dodgers are only going to have to score 2.5 a game, right? Because
not much.
Their staff. They are so loaded that they only have to score a few runs to make sure that. And
once they get to the 6th inning, they can go this way, this way, this way, this way, the whole way in.
Yeah, and I think for us,
and we go like this. In the Angels, we go like this.
Yeah, you're passing the hat for for a pitcher, right? That it's like who can we go out and get? I think they'll be okay. But but the Dodgers, it's like we talked about the rotation, right? Gonsolin and May look terrific too. I mean, these guys are pitching with confidence already, just a couple of games in, and it's exciting. I'm rubbing my hands, right?
Yeah.
But you can only give the ball to one guy to start the game, and Gonsolin and May, that's a toss-up. One of them's you gotta get somebody innings. One of those guys either has to start in the minors, or they change who they are. You trade them, right, and you get something else for them.
I would only trade Price. I wouldn't trade those young guys at all, because Kershaw is going to have a back ailment at some point in time, and he's going to miss 5 starts, right?
You got a guy like May that's got a lot of experience in the World Series. I mean, he's coming out of there's no more nerves anymore.
Yeah, he's walking the walk right now. He is the
and like you said, John, earlier, like Urias is like, he wants to start, but he was lights out of the bullpen. He was terrific. And even though Robert says Kenley is his closer, I'm not so sure about that. He's gonna work his way out of that spot, right?
Well, I think if I'm Dave, right, and if that's he might have to come in to do a spot start here and there. But if I just look at who's up that inning, and I know that I got to have 2 lefties and righties coming in, I'm putting Yurley. If it's going to be a bunch of right guys, then I put in Jansen. But I would just kind of say it's going to be pick or choose, like who's coming up and how are your numbers against that guy. And I don't know if I give him this. You could say like, okay, yeah, you're the closer, but I don't know if I really would believe that.
One other thing to look at is somebody's going to get traded, right? And maybe they continue to build the value on Kenley Jansen, and then Kenley Jansen's one of the guys that gets traded. Maybe you take Kenley Jansen and David Price, boom, out the door.
But that's a big contract too, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean,
a huge contract.
Pitching is king, right? There's going to be a lot of teams that need a lot of arms. You're going to get 6 weeks into this, and the injury list is going to be longer than the active roster. Right. Yeah. Some teams. So,
but when you think about the Dodgers bullpen, it's like, Victor Gonzalez, who was terrific in the postseason, Brusdar Graterol, who's throwing just heat. He gets, he pitches to contact sometimes, but he throws really, really hard. And he's just, he's young and he's going to be really exciting, and he's a big body. And as long as his arm holds out, and then there's Knebel, right? I mean, they've got a lot going on. And Blake Treinen's back. There's a lot of, an embarrassment of riches. It's
30 deep on the hill right now.
It feels like it. Yeah. And then I'm excited to see guys like Mitch White and Josiah Gray, there as well, and see what they can do. So,
can you imagine being a young kid on that team? And you've got Kershaw that you can lean on for knowledge. You got Power. You've got, got all these guys with all this experience. I mean, Blake Treinen's a great guy.
Three Cy Youngs, right? Yeah. Price and Power and Kershaw.
Right? Yeah.
And so the thing that I think about is that this is great for Kershaw in his baseball dotage, right? He doesn't need to think, oh God, we've lost 2 in a row. I gotta be the stopper, right? He just doesn't have to think like that anymore. Right? He doesn't have to put the team on his back anymore. He can just let Bauer and Walker sort of have that, that little friendly rivalry, right? That little brotherly rivalry, right? Because I think that's really going to elevate Buehler. I think Bauer is going to elevate Walker Buehler. Sure. It's going to be fun. And Kershaw just needs to be the wise, sagely old guy, right?
Love to be a fly in the wall in that clubhouse.
Boys, I can talk baseball with you all the time. You guys take care of yourself. Have a great time. Thanks for having me on. Let me know if you want me to come back.
Thanks, John.
Love it, John.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Let's get to the Lakers and Clippers. The Lakers have got injuries up the gazoo. I think Phoenix is smart enough to realize, they won by 10 points last night, but no Kyle Kuzma, no Marc Gasol, of course, no
AD.
Right.
I'm not too worried about Phoenix if the Lakers match up with them in the playoffs, but they are having problems now. Look at the standings this morning, and there's Phoenix, number 1.
Well, the Jazz are number one. Suns.
Well, I mean,
two.
Jazz are number one overall.
Yeah.
Best record in the West. But in the division, Phoenix, Lakers have one more win and one more loss than Phoenix, which gives Phoenix a better percentage. But they've still got their problems. They got Sacramento tonight. And who knows how long AD is going to be out. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't.
That's a very tricky thing. And you certainly don't want to bring him back too early and have him blow it out, lose him for the season. And like Vogel said before, I'd rather him not play any more games at all and have him healthy for the playoffs than risk losing him. So that's going to be very touchy when he does come back.
Yeah. But I mean, John, we both know that you don't get any rings for playing basketball in March.
Exactly.
Right. So the Suns can be the champions of March, but Lakers be in the top 8, they'll get in the playoffs and they'll blow everyone out, man. As long as they're healthy, for the playoffs, they'll be the team to beat.
Yeah, there's nothing that I'm seeing right now that gives me concern. Like, look, the journalists and sports journalists love to sort of make stuff seem worse than it is, and because it's interesting to talk about. As a fan, I'm not worried about the Lakers one bit. All of it can be explained away by the absence of Anthony Davis. Period, and that's it. Look, he's not a rim defender, but he spreads the court and he can play and he can defend on the perimeter and he can defend in the paint. He's not the rim protector, big body guy, but he spreads the floor on offense. And when he comes back, it's a different ball game. And so we'll take our lumps. They've lost 5 of 7. And to teams like the Suns, the Jazz, the Wizards, the Heat, and the Nets. Look, we'll it's not ideal, but we'll take it, and for a healthy AD down the line.
Right.
And where they are, they haven't dropped too much, and so they're fine. They're fine. If this continues, and if AD comes back and then this continues, or they rush him back and this continues, then I have problems. But I'm not worried about them at all.
Yeah, but if I'm the Suns, I'm taking advantage of it, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to put the urgency in the teams. Hey, look, man, let's make up as much ground as we can, while they're down, and take advantage of it and put ourselves in a great position.
Yeah, and any team in the West, when they play the Lakers, their thinking should be, let's just put more minutes on LeBron. Because if we get him in the playoffs, we just want more minutes on that guy's body. Just put more minutes on him.
We want 42 to 45 a night.
Exactly. Exactly. And that could be the Lakers' undoing. LeBron is just an Adonis, and his effort every night, and he doesn't want to come out. But at some point, Vogel's going to have to rein him in a little bit, just a little, to manage that load, just a hair. Got to do it.
Who do you think are some trade candidates that they can bring in? Because they're going to add. They're going to add towards the trade deadline.
They don't have a lot of cap space. They can't go out and get a big contract unless they unload it.
Yeah. No, but somebody will take. They'll be able to move somebody. I'm guessing, and make some room. But I don't know. Sometimes I think they're thinking about, well, AD is gone, let's get a big body. And I'm thinking, I think we've got enough big bodies right now to just weather this storm and go out. I'd rather we find somebody who can play that perimeter defense, who can be like sort of that swing D, and guard somebody who's 6'1" and fast, and somebody who's also 6'5", that has some length and some closing speed on the people shooting the three, because that's really where the Lakers can be vulnerable sometimes, is defending the three.
Well, Danny Green was a good defender on the perimeter, and so was the guy that went to Miami, Bradley.
Yeah.
He was Avery Bradley, yeah. He was a good perimeter defender. So they lost a lot of defense on the perimeter with those two guys. I'm not saying I wouldn't want them, to not have gotten the guys they got, but they gave up some defense. They did. You're right, Vinny. They need a little help on the perimeter.
Their team defense can be pretty good. But again, you've got to keep guys healthy. You've got to get them back. So I don't think it's that big clogging up the middle. Like I said, I think it's somebody smaller, quicker, who can, play defense in transition and charge out on the three.
I like this Damian Jones, the guy they just signed to a 10-day contract, 6'11" guy. Phoenix let him go. I've watched him in a couple of games. He's I like him. He had a few blocks. He's had a few blocks, and he's altered some shots.
Don't fall too in love with those 10-day contract guys. Because when it comes right down to it, Vogel's probably going to play a Dudley or somebody, like that, somebody, some guy, he's just a stopgap. I don't think they're going to extend him anything beyond that.
Well, he is 6'11". They need some size inside, so maybe he'll be around till Anthony comes back. I don't know. How about the Clippers? Go ahead.
No, I don't know. Like you said, we don't know when AD's coming back. So
the Clippers lost by 5 last night in Boston, and of course, Kawhi didn't play. It was another one of his load management nights. How can you? I don't understand how you can coach that team. I mean, you never know when these guys are going to play. I mean, it seems like Kawhi's been off, out of games an awful lot, and Paul George has been hurt in and out. I don't know how Ty Lue does it. I mean, you never know one day or the next who's available and who's going to opt out. I mean, who's going to not play.
Yeah, I think poor Doc. Everybody was so quick to think that this was a Doc problem, a chemistry problem with Doc, and it's like, I don't know. I read something about, and I'm quoting from an article. I don't know the writer, but they said, look, they're concerned. The headline was sort of this concern that, Kawhi Leonard hasn't done what he was expected to do for the Clippers. And Leonard missed his last 4 shots of the fourth quarter in a recent game, including 2 late that were potential go-ahead or game-tying threes. Worse than that, single performance is that Leonard has missed 18 of 20 threes in crunch time. Last 5 minutes or OT of a game within 5 points since joining the Clippers in 2019. It gets worse. Overall, Leonard's field goal percentage in clutch time has decreased from 38.6% last season to 28% this season. Leonard has the 4th worst clutch field goal percentage in the NBA, minimum of 20 field goal attempts, according to NBA Central.
There you go.
Wow.
And I was asking a friend who's a real Clippers fan, because I don't watch him, so closely, and he's concerned. He's very, very concerned that, relying on Kawhi down the stretch in games, not just in the regular season, but in the postseason, it makes him nervous.
Yeah, I see why with those numbers. I mean, going down, what was it, 38% to 28%?
Yeah, that's a big drop.
38's worse. Is bad, but 28's, this guy's, a $1 million player, and he's your superstar. He's the guy you're building your franchise around. I remember last year too, I think it was a playoff series against Denver. Those games where they lost, they had those big leads and lost them. He really stunk it up in those games last year in that series. So I don't know what's up with him. I don't know how you explain that. Was he not that good a player and just overhyped, or?
He's a Finals MVP for 2 teams. So
Nice. Yeah.
He's a good player. But is he a number 1 guy, right?
Yeah,
can he carry a team? He hasn't yet, right?
He carried Toronto.
You're right. You're right. But that was a very good supporting cast. Good. He was the number 1 guy, but with a really good supporting cast. And the Clippers are similar in that regard. And I think that there was an indication that he could continue to be that guy, but something isn't quite clicking.
One of the things that they're talking about, and I've been listening to some of the sports talk, and the intangible right now is the fans, right? It is tough. They said, they were talking to one of the Dodgers, and he said, having fans in the stands is huge, right? 106, or they played 60 games last year with no fans. They got through that. 162 games with no fans is tough. I imagine, basketball's an emotional sport. Hockey's an emotional sport. You got to have those guys, at the end, everyone's cheering, defense, whatever, or you're at the line and they're all going crazy behind the backboard. That pumps you up. That gets you into the zone. I think it's tough for some of these guys who have been living off of giant crowds, for years and years and years, to go in and it's practice, and you just can't get up for practice that much. So I think that's something that we got to take into consideration, especially, in clutch time at the end. That's when the crowd's going crazy. Everyone's standing up, and you make that big shot and you look in the crowd or, whatever. Right now you're looking at black seat covers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly see that with in college basketball, right, with the USC Trojans, where, really deep, talented team who can play really well. They come out with just an amazing game against Oregon, and then they backslide, right? That's a game that they should have had a little momentum going into, and it just wasn't there for them. Right. So yeah, I definitely see that, and that is definitely a problem at the college level. And you would think that the pros wouldn't, it couldn't be that they'd be able to get up, but it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
A lot of energy. You can get some energy from the crowd, especially late in the game. You're tired, your legs are feeling heavy. You hear the crowd pumping you up, and then
and adrenaline.
Yep.
Rams Chargers have been very quiet. We haven't had any franchise players tagged yet, have we? I
don't think so.
I haven't seen anything yet on any franchise tags. I think the magic date is June 1st, right?
Yeah.
That's the roster bonuses date, the pre-June 1st, post-June 1st. That's when all the cap hits come.
So I guess they're waiting for, what would they be waiting for? Do either one of these teams have any idea who they want to make their franchise, or are they going to even do it? The Rams, the last couple of years, I don't think had a franchise tagged anybody.
They're going to have to tag somebody this year. I think it's almost a certainty because of their cap, and their salary and what they've got going on. I think, once J.J. Watt signs with somebody, and I hear the Cardinals are the leading.
He signed with the Cardinals.
Oh, he did sign with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So
$31 million. 2 years.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Things will start falling into place now, I think.
Yeah, I think, again, I think there's a couple of dominoes in the league that'll fall. We'll see what happens with Darnold in New York, see if he stays there or not. Where does Alex Smith go? I'm thinking the Jaguars, with Urban Meyer. But I think the biggest, obviously they got to get ready for the draft. The Rams don't have to worry about the draft as much as most teams, but
they have to dig a little deeper because they're picked so late, right?
Yeah.
It's not as obvious.
Right.
The Chargers, do they have any candidates? They wouldn't do the quarterback, Justin Herbert, would they?
No, because he's already still on his rookie contract.
He's still
3 years on him on the rookie contract.
Benny, your Kings are rolling.
Well, they a little, yeah. They're fun to watch. And quick with 2 shutouts in 2 weeks. More than he had over the last 2 years. They're exciting to watch, but also a little inconsistent in time. Sometimes, I don't know what to expect. There are times when I just keep thinking, it's okay. It's a lost season. We're rebuilding. Wait for the kids to come up. And then there's other times when I think, gosh, we really might have a team. And then, then they throw up a clunker. Then they poop the bed, but they've been really good. Yeah, they've been really good, and they've been scoring some goals, and their goaltending has been outstanding lately. And then, lost. What did they lose last night?
Yeah, the veterans are really bringing the young guys along. I think.
That's what I was
really helping in the
saying.
transition.
The vets are stepping it up, and showing that they still have some game in them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Everybody except Drew Doughty. He's the guy that just doesn't quite. I don't know if he's hurt or, uninspired. But Carter and Kopitar have been terrific. Quick. I wouldn't have expected 2 shutouts from Quickie at his age at this point. But it's a pretty good team. I don't know if it's sustainable. I hope it is. The wins against the Blues were very exciting. That's a very good team. So, And then they throw in back-to-back clunkers against the Wild. So it's like,
their rebuild may be quicker than we think. I don't know if anybody really thought. I don't think you thought they were going to make the playoffs this year, Vinny. And
no.
they very well might.
I don't know that they will. Old guys tend to break down a little bit towards the middle and the end of the season, and the youngsters are not aren't always consistent. So you'll see flashes of what they can do, but it's different. But as we talked about, Corey, the speed is the thing. That makes a difference, right?
Speed doesn't slump.
Exactly.
In any sport, right?
Exactly.
Especially in hockey.
Yep. For sure.
That's how the game is now.
Yeah, you just got to finish, and that was always the thing with some of our younger guys, like Kempe, who was just a lot of speed but couldn't finish. It felt like that kid could score 30 goals and 30, 40 goals, but he just can't finish. And some of that's youth, and some of that's just he's not that guy. He's fast, but doesn't have the nuanced finishing skills yet.
Yeah, I mean, just like any of the other major sports, the gap between the minors and the NHL is huge, right?
Yeah.
These guys got to get some ice time. They got to have that experience, get some shots and put themselves in big spots. And then I have all the confidence in the world that they're going to be raising the cup here pretty soon in Los Angeles again.
Gabe Velarde, and I love him, and he's so young. He feels like he's. Some of these guys have been around a while because you hear their names, but then you realize, they haven't played that many games. And then when Turcotte, is available and comes up, and then there was Jarrett Dolan Anderson, right, who has looked at times brilliant, and he's been around a while. I think it's been 3 years now, but he's still young. I mean, he's only 22. Some promise showing.
Yeah.
Much more than what we're seeing in Anaheim. A lot of guys that were supposed to be the face of the futures, and great years in San Diego, and all they've been doing is going back and forth.
They're goal All-Americans, right?
All right.
They're looking. Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at the goals for 46. That's the lowest in the division.
Not surprised.
Minus 20 goal differential for the Ducks.
That's tough.
They're right where they belong.
Yeah.
7-game losing streak.
They're looking at a good draft.
Yeah. They can look forward to that.
Yeah.
Another guy for the goals.
And make that team good. The Pac-12 basketball race is really getting down to the nitty-gritty. Tonight's game, UCLA at Oregon, is going to be a huge one.
That's the pivotal. That's the pivotal one. The Trojans are rooting for Oregon there, obviously, but the Trojans, sort of were in control of their own destiny, right? They just need to win. They just need to win their games and take care of business against a not very good Stanford squad, and then take care of business when they go to Poly.
Yeah.
I'd rather see aren't Oregon's 12-4? I'd rather see Oregon beat UCLA.
Yeah.
And then USC beat UCLA.
That's what the Trojans are, hoping for. I think they looked great against Oregon, and they tried to just, the schedule was so weird. I didn't know until the last minute that the Trojans were even playing Oregon, right? I mean, it's just such a weird.
Well, Oregon's always an iffy, right? They've canceled some games already.
Yeah.
So you never know what's going to go on with them.
That's a huge game.
I'm hoping for a UCLA sweep here. Okay. I'm hoping UCLA beats Oregon. UCLA beats the Trojans, and then they get a mid seed in the tourney. So
yeah, the UCLA has been terrific at home, which is so strange, right?
Right.
11-0 at home, and 5-4 on the road, and it doesn't make sense during a pandemic, but
no,
at all. And we'll see. It looks like 4 schools for the Pac-12 in the tournament. Trojans just, if they could just have split with Colorado, they'd be in a much better situation. And then they could have had a game to a margin for error going into that UCLA game. But as it is, it's Pac-12 is better if USC and UCLA meet and play for the top spot.
Right.
Oregon still needs to catch up a game or two, right? So
it'll be UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Cal, right? Or Colorado. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, those teams are in.
Yeah.
SC just picked a bad time to lose 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Correct. Exactly.
I can see the loss to Colorado. Colorado's a decent team, but you don't lose to Utah.
No, you can't. You can't lose to Utah, and especially the bouncing off of that. It was just a bounce off of that great start. I mean, they just came out and just crushed Oregon, and then Oregon had to press the whole game, and it's the reason they got back into it. But maybe that took some of the starch out of their legs, out of the Trojans' legs, and why they lost. They ended up losing to Colorado and Utah afterwards. I don't know.
Well, we'll see what happens. Like I say, tonight's a biggie, and we'll know a lot more after tonight. Anybody have anything else?
No, I mean, I'm happy it's baseball season. I love seeing that red hat on your head there, John. I mean, this is when I am at my happiest.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
But
baseball starting, March Madness happening.
Yeah, it's a good month.
Yeah.
Before we close it down, I'd just like to take this moment to thank those of you who have tuned in to watch or listen. We appreciate that. And if you enjoyed the podcast tonight, I urge you to go ahead and join us next time. And until next time, we are out.
Good night.